Okay, welcome. So I'm here with Linda Allison. Hey, Linda.
Hi, Josiah.
And we've been working together for like just over 2 years now. Hey, I was just looking back at my calendar and realizing it's basically just a little over 2 years.
Just over 2 years, absolutely, yeah. A
Yeah.
wonderful 2 years.
Yeah, it's been so profound working with you and just like such an honor to be able to support and just watch your journey of unfolding. It's been so powerful. And yeah, how was your morning this morning? I remember you said you think you were out with the dogs or in the forest or
I was out with the dogs in the forest. It's
yeah.
my Wednesday morning walk with friends and dogs. It's wonderful.
Awesome. That's so beautiful. Yeah. It's such a gorgeous day out there.
It's a beautiful day, lots of sun and just enough wind.
Hmm. Yeah. So, and I remember like 2 years ago when we first met, where you were at, and I wonder if you would be open to just sharing with people what was happening for you at that time.
Sure. Do you want me to talk about where I was at with you or where I was at with me?
Yeah, well, we met first at because you came to one of my workshops that I did in Victoria, right? And so maybe can you just share with people like your process of getting yourself even to that workshop?
It was a really interesting. I belonged to a metaphysical meetup group in town. And because I belong to that group, they tend to send me just random notices of other events that are going on that are like-minded. And somehow you showed up on there. You were doing a free workshop at I think it was a little Ukrainian church.
Yeah, the Ukrainian church. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You were doing a little free introductory workshop at that little Ukrainian church. And I saw that and it resonated deeply within me. And then I was really at a stage in my journey where I'd done a lot and things weren't getting better. And I was pretty much at the point of saying, I'm done with this. I'm just going to try and live my life as best I can and
Hmm.
no more trying to fix things.
Yeah, I remember you'd done so much work already. Like you'd basically tried everything,
I
right? And
tried a lot of different things and I've had some improvement, but I still was nowhere near where I wanted to be.
yeah,
And I saw that and it resonated and I went back and forth. Am I going? Am I not going? And I could feel the call and then I just said, I am so done with this. I just said, I'll decide that day. I
yeah.
got up in the morning and said, yeah, nice day. I'm not going. I'm going out with my dog.
And how did you end up there?
Well, it was just that most amazing thing. I took about the morning. I happened to be back in time. And suddenly, when it was time to go to this workshop, and I wasn't even consciously keeping track, I found my body walking out the door with my purse
Mm,
and said, I guess I'm going.
wow.
And so I went. I was walking out the door. I decided I might as well go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So there was some resistance there, but it was like you were kind of guided to going.
I I just at that point just said, well, might as well follow on. Went to that workshop. Uh, Liked the things you said, but again, just said to myself, yeah, no, I am not. I am not working, and it was a long commitment to sign on for as well, which
Mm-hmm.
I understand a 6 month commitment that you need
Yeah.
people to be invested, but it was like, yeah, I'm done with this stuff.
Yeah. And I remember you saying actually that you'd basically kind of given up
Oh, I have,
at
yeah,
that
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
totally get that anybody could. Spiritually, it made some. Physically, I had issues which were just not improving, and
Yeah.
even after I saw the workshop, I just said, yeah, that's nice. Good for other people. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember how much time it was. It was another one of those where I just could not get you out of my head.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
eventually I sent off the email and said, well, I might as well, I might as well have the free consult.
Yeah. It wasn't much time, I don't think.
I don't think it was because, when it's in the head, you're stuck. You can't do anything until you get it out of your
Hmm.
head.
Yeah. So there was something that just pulled you forward and
It was something that pulled me forward.
Mhm.
And I mean, I can still remember that first meeting.
Yeah.
I
Me
don't
too.
know why I'm contacting you. You can't help me, but my guidance keeps pushing me here, even though I've decided I'm just going to accept the way my life is.
Hmm.
So I really
Yeah.
don't work with you, but I don't seem to have a choice.
And I remember, yeah, and it's like you say all that resistance was there, but in a way there was something in you that really did show up for even that first time that we spoke. And there, it felt like there was something in you that still had hope, and that knew that maybe there was possibility, and that resonated with that, even though, like, I remember you were still in so much pain at that point, like physically and even, emotionally, there was a lot. Yeah. So can you share a little bit more about just what was happening for you at that time, the pain, the physical pain and.
Right. I'd had breast cancer 8 years ago now, so it would have been 6 years ago then, and I had some really, really toxic side effects from the chemotherapy, which I undertook under guidance.
Right.
I didn't go there. The guidance sent me there.
Right.
But it became so toxic that treatment had to be stopped.
Yeah.
And I'm actually fine with the breast cancer.
You did recover from the breast cancer, but then you were left with some pretty serious symptoms, right, from the chemo.
Yes, I was left. Yeah, it really hit my nervous system hard. It became very toxic, and I had all sorts of different numbnesses, and I had just fire going through every nerve in my body, and my muscles clenched like they became like wood, like it's hard to move and clenched down. And it took years for me to even get a semblance of recovering. The doctors were really doing everything they could to help me.
Yeah, they were pretty stumped, right?
They knew it was a side effect from one of the drugs I had taken. But they were stumped. They'd just never seen toxicity, that severity with that little exposure to the drug. So I was a human guinea pig as they tried everything they could to help me. And I can't remember back then. I was on 4 or 5 drugs at one point, but most notably 90 milligrams of morphine a day. Along with multiple other treatments. And that was one aspect of it. But the second aspect was that my nervous system could not forget the chemotherapy. Very regularly, I would have days that resembled the days when I received the chemotherapy, where I would just get up and start vomiting and be so weak and fatigued I couldn't even stand.
And your body, and the physical pain was like, it was like almost like your whole body was going into contraction.
Oh yeah, I mean, that happened. Yeah, when that happened, the nervous system went on fire. The body went into contraction. Everything just magnified hugely on those days, and it'd be 1 or 2 days in a row where literally I couldn't even keep fluids down. No drug stopped that. The morphine at least made it somewhat livable through. But they happen really, really regularly, and of course, it would take, once I got on my feet, it would take a few days to get back up to power. And so if I got them once a week, I didn't get too many good days in between.
Yeah, exactly. So it was hard. I remember one of the things that you said in our first meeting was that it was hard you would make plans, but it was hard to be able to keep plans with friends. And so having a social life. Yeah,
I made plans because I needed to feel I had some semblance of life, because otherwise nothing worth living for. But everybody that I made plans with knew that there might be cancellation at the last minute, because it just happened so frequently that there was no hiding it, and it was just common knowledge. I just have to phone and say sorry. Got the chemo. All my friends know what chemo flu is. It just happens so regularly, and beyond that, I had a dog at that point, and it was a struggle. There were many days where it was a struggle to just take him out for the basic walks that he needed. Everything in my life at that point was run by an energy meter. How much energy am I expending versus what do I need to just do basic acts of daily living, even on my well days. Every energy meter, everything that was booked with no more than 1 event a day, because otherwise I'm going to topple the energy meter.
I remember that. And I remember, that also, hearing your story, that you had some pretty severe, what we would call, what's known now kind of come out in the media as, adverse childhood experiences, we're calling it.
Oh, is that what we're calling it? A polite word for horrible abuse.
Right. And so, so hearing that part of your story, what I sensed, I mean, I won't say that I knew, because I feel like when we approach these things, it's like, okay, this is probably what's going on, and I can probably help you. But, I never know for certain either, because there's an unknown in this work. But, I had a theory that, because of, the trauma that you'd experienced, is like your nervous system wasn't able to just come down into that rest and digest place, which is what we actually are. In order to be able to detox, we have to be able to come into that deep rest and digest. And so with the chemotherapy, it's like, it was just like the thing that basically sent your system, over the top.
It's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And even what the doctors felt at the time was that my nervous system had previous stresses,
Mm-hmm.
and that had just been that took the last bit of reserve and bounce that my nervous system had.
Yeah, exactly. So I had the theory that, I thought that I could really help you, because I thought that if we could get your nervous system back on track, back to being able to, to let go, to relax, to come into that rest and digest, that then your body would be able to detox.
And
And
it's important to know, or at least for me, and maybe for other people, to
Mhm.
note that I've done a significant amount of work on this early childhood. It was not that I had ignored it
Yeah.
to this point. I
Yeah.
had tremendous work on it. I
Yeah.
had come to a great deal of inner peace, inner compassion. I
Mm.
put a lot of context into the events around my childhood.
Yeah.
Yet, despite all that, my nervous system did not come off alert.
Yeah, exactly. So you had done so much work, and I think that was part of what allowed you to heal so quickly once you stepped into doing this work with me with the nervous system. And that's really common, I think, when people come to work with me. It's like they've done so much work, meditated, done, shamanic work, all different things, but to work on the level of the nervous system is like the last piece that needs to come in to have that happen. So it's been so amazing to watch that that piece come in for you. Yeah. Do you want to share a little bit about just what the journey has been like? Of, was there times in working together over this past 2 years where you kind of like doubted that it was actually working, what we were doing? Yeah.
There were times where it felt really wonderful. The consistent thing through the 2 years has been the sense of support that I felt from you, not from my nervous system, but from me personally.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
That's really been tremendous for me. And I've realized in that how little support people around me have provided
Mm-hmm.
when I could just receive a simple, "You've done a good job," and think, wow. That was consistent throughout it all. And you provided such a safe place for me that I had no problem saying to you, "I'm in trouble and you can't help me anymore." Like, I felt really safe in not having to put any kind of a front on it, to just be able to say whatever, if I was doing okay, to say, "Hey, I'm actually doing okay," or if I was feeling rotten, to not put it out on you or to blame you, but to just say, "I'm in a really bad place and I've given up hope again. And yeah, I don't think you can actually help me anymore."
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to count how many times we did that little dance.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd go through cycles where things would get better for a little while. And I could start to see some improvement. And, notably, I'm off everything, all the regular medication. I take the morphine very infrequently now, as needed, instead of regularly, and all the other supportive drugs I'm off of, which is wonderful.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful in my life. And certainly I still have pain at times. My nervous system still reacts at times, but it's way less intensity. I do get the chemo flu, but so infrequently, I'm actually kind of surprised when it shows up.
Yeah, and it seems to happen almost like when there's another layer peeling away. Does that feel? Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to happen when a lot of emotions have been circulating, and that wasn't even. I paid attention to that before, but there was probably so much circulating. There was
Mm-hmm. Right.
no relation to that.
Yeah.
So I'm more careful now because I'm desensitized to the point that I can begin to see which things start to trigger me.
Yeah.
And knowing that I can build space, I can build the space around myself that I need for those events,
Right.
which keeps me out of it and still allows me to, it allows me to lead a much better life.
Yeah. So there's more, just creating that more space. It's like you've really learned how to care for yourself on a whole nother level and how to really put yourself first.
Well, yeah, and I had some of that before. I just didn't have enough. My system was in so much chaos, it couldn't give me the feedback I needed to make the alterations because it was firing everywhere all the time. It's like being in a chaotic desert sandstorm. You can't,
Yeah.
because there's so much sand around.
Yeah,
Once
exactly.
you start settling down and you get some clear spots, then when the sand whips up, it's like, oh, need to make some alterations here, but you can't do it in the middle of a sandstorm. There's just nothing, there's sand everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a big thing that happens through this work is it's like, we just get that more space and then it's like, oh, that's having that more spaciousness can be the normal. And then there's like times when it's like, whoa, but then we know we start to learn how to navigate back to that spaciousness.
Yeah, I'm getting the feedback from my nervous system that lets me manage things more clearly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's self-regulation, right? So that's amazing.
Right.
Yeah. And I just love what you said about, just the relationship aspect of being, on this journey with my support, because that is something I like to speak to a lot, is just that, we are wounded in relationship and we also heal in relationship. So when we step into working, when you stepped into working with me, it's like, there's a relationship there that happens and that piece, I'm just so touched and like so honored that I've been able to just support you in that way.
I mean, that was such a beautiful, and you're right. I mean, it's a learning because I came out of such a toxic environment, which meant, of course, I attracted other toxic kind of or non-supportive relationships, and none of them seemed anywhere near the level I would have considered them supportive before.
Yeah.
Compared to what I started with, they were kind of an improvement.
Right.
But, I've really begun to appreciate that kind of relationship and that I deserve that and that it should be part of my life. And so in the time period I've worked with you, I've let go of a lot of other relationships that I knew weren't great, but that didn't seem so toxic. But the more I get familiar with what is supportive and healthy, the less willing I am to accept the other. And that's just, that's meant some tough decisions in regards to family and friends, and letting go of places where it's been difficult but necessary.
Yeah.
The one thing I absolutely do know now is I cannot heal from toxicity if I allow myself to stay in toxicity.
Yeah, that's so powerful.
Right. So yeah.
And that's true for all of us, that we can't heal from toxicity if we're surrounded by toxicity. Yeah. It's so powerful.
I've had to make what decisions I've needed to make and distance what people require distancing, and trust that the universe will fill that void for me.
Yeah. And that hasn't been easy, but it has been, hasn't it? Like the universe has been filling that void for you.
Well, the universe is. It absolutely is. It's creating new sense of family and friends. I mean, different groups meeting different people, and on an energetic level, I'd say my energy has changed, so I'm now attracting a different kind of people. Still, every now and then get tossed one of those old kind of relationships in my way, and it's really easy when I start to feel, I know that person, doesn't matter what else is happening, I know that person is not a person that I need to continue being with in any way.
Yeah, right. So
whether
it's clear.
That's a casual coffee friend or a closer person, when I get that feeling, I know I need to just let go of that.
Yeah, and that's amazing. It's like healthy boundaries, and just like such a willingness to put yourself first, which is so hard in the beginning, but so powerful. It's so powerful. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of pain.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like not an option, right? When you, yeah. And can you just tell us a little bit more about like what kind of things you're doing with your time now that you
I'm doing a lot of things I was doing before, but as you know, probably the biggest change has been the artwork. I haven't always, I started doing art very, very much in middle life, but only ever did a little bit, and all the medical issues I had really held me back.
Yeah.
I've been dabbling in it for a number of years in a very limited way. But as I've let go of this toxicity that's been in my life, as I've made my house a safe place, as I've only permitted supportive, healthy friends and family members around me, there's just been this incredible opening up of this part of me that is a major part of me that I didn't even realize. It was a little thing I played with in a closet.
Yeah, right.
Now it's all over my house. It's springing out of me. It's not, it's something that I almost can't stop doing, but it's not even the doing. I have done it before. I'm doing it way more now.
Yeah.
It's the place that it's coming from that has changed so much. When I did art before, it was so tight and I was so critical of myself. I would do something and redo it, and I would finish something and be very unsatisfied with the product. When I looked at it, all I could see were the mistakes I'd made, not whatever beauty I had created. Now there's this stuff just pouring out of me. I let it go so much freer. I'm so much looser in doing the work. And when I finished, there's always a few mistakes here and there that an artist's eye is always going to see. But now I look at something that's come out of me and say, I can't believe I actually made that.
Yeah.
And I look at something and I see the beauty in it instead of the criticisms in it. And that's just such a nice place to be doing it. Like, it just makes me happy to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that change in how I see it is just a change in how I see myself. I think that criticism I used to put onto every piece of artwork I did, I probably was doing to myself at the same time. And I think that the beauty and the awe that I see is a reflection, not just of the artwork, but of how I see myself now. Now I just look at things and say, I can't believe that, first of all, came out of my imagination, and I can't believe that it got onto canvas or paper that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And yeah, I mean, it's like, I've noticed you've like let yourself actually become more beautiful too. Like, there's more of a radiance from you. There's a more of a aliveness. There's, like, sometimes you wear makeup and like just
just got the funky hairstyle.
The hair is gorgeous. Yeah, there's just this beauty that you're letting come through your being now, and it's been such a beautiful thing to watch. And
it has been a really good 2 years, even through the mini crises and the I'm done anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, even through all that, after a point in that little dance, we both knew I didn't actually mean it. It was how I felt at that moment. It was just expressing a feeling of how I felt at that moment.
Totally. And it's part of the process. It's like we give up and then we try again, and then we give up and then we try again. And
and we have sessions where things are great and everything's open and I'm inspired afterwards. And then, it's the continuous cycle of healing.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
You go into a bit of a crisis, a bit of a chaos, you do some work, and then there's this nice integration, long rest period, and then it all starts again. It's only a question of how deep each of those cycles is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. And can you share with us, I know the painting behind you is a new one that you've done.
That was a 3-hour workshop
You did that in 3 hours?
No, it might have been 4. I think it might have been a 4-hour workshop. But the first hour was like instruction. So yeah, it's not a totally finished painting, but it was fun. And I don't do portraiture. This is the year that I've devoted to art. So I'm doing as many different things in as many different media as I can sort of find the way. So I wasn't comfortable in portraiture, so I went and did this with art and rose. So it's not meant to be realistic. It's meant to be, she's got a word for it, which I can't remember, but it's just meant to be spontaneous fun and resembling a human, but not human completely.
Yeah, gorgeous.
So that was just a lot of fun, right? So there's no model, no anything. We just created out of our head and slap paint on. So that was fun. This other one, I'm not sure we got good light. There we go. Oh. Now that one I spent a lot of time on. That is my painting of balance. There's a day side, a night side. There's the mystical unicorn with all the mysteries of the universe, and there's this stag who grounds you to earth and brings it all into this world.
So beautiful. And I remember this actually kind of came out of one of our sessions, like one of our maybe was it like 3 or 4 months ago?
Yeah, I painted this through December and January.
Okay, yeah.
I painted this through December and January, and it was because if you remember, I had an embroidery of a unicorn on my wall, but that unicorn was in a fence. It was in a garden, but it was totally fenced in. And I think you're right. It was one of our sessions and it was where that painting of the lady was, and so you always saw it every time.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
At a session. And I finally said one day, I cannot stand that unicorn. He's caged in and the unicorn needs to be loose. And he came off the wall and this became in its place.
So powerful. Yeah, because I remember when I first met you and seeing that unicorn in the fence and thinking, okay, when we're going to get to a point in healing where that unicorn is going to dissolve in his fence. And it literally did. You took him down and this came forward.
Oh, I've had that unicorn for probably 30 years, that other embroidery. It's been with me a long time.
Yeah.
And once, it's just so funny. Once that decision was made, once I recognized it, it was like I couldn't get it off the wall fast enough.
Yeah.
It was like, you must go. I cannot stand to have you there one more minute.
Yeah.
I don't even know where it's gone. I just got rid of it.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I just totally got rid of it.
Yeah.
And so I call that my balance painting because it was, it was a balance of all the things I knew about healing, but it was also, I could feel myself at that point coming into a new kind of a balance. And that painting reflected the new balance that I felt.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
Yeah.
You're most welcome. It's been an amazing journey with you, and it's not over yet.
It's not over yet, yeah. But it's come a long way, and I'm just so grateful that you've been willing to share your story with folks out there. So, because I know that it can be hard to say yes to coming into a container of healing and to say yes to ourselves, really. Because there can be that resistance, and it's not easy, right? It's not easy. It's not a quick fix to really do the deep work, and you have really done it and continue to do it. And I think you're such an inspiration. So I hope there's some folks listening to this now who are just inspired and say yes to yourself.
Yes, one little step at a time. I look at where I've come now and I see such a big journey.
Yeah.
But each place, the only thing I knew how to do was to take the next step.
Yeah, exactly.
Just one little step at a time, and eventually you've moved a long way.
Exactly. That's all it takes. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Linda.
You're welcome. Anytime, Josiah.